California is set to raise its state minimum wage to $15 an hour, which would make it the highest in the nation. It's the biggest victory yet in the campaign to increase pay for low-income workers, a position supported by the Democratic presidential candidates. So why is a state that's losing residents right now and losing business to more business-friendly states like Texas and Nevada making it even harder to do business there? Joining me right now is Forbes media chairman Steve Forbes. Welcome back, Steve. Good to see you.
Good to be with you, Trish.
Right, this one's right up your alley. I mean, you've got a state that's losing business right now, that's losing jobs to places like Texas, places like Nevada, low state income taxes, low state business taxes, and they're coming up with a minimum wage to try and help people. Is it going to help? Is it going to hurt?
Obviously, it's going to hurt. Wherever you will raise the minimum wage like that, you destroy jobs, especially for entry-level people. You look at Europe. France has a high minimum wage, youth unemployment 25%. Spain has a high minimum wage, youth unemployment 40%. Whoa. So you can see in the real world what this leads to. It's coming from labor, which figures if they raise the minimum wage, that'll get other wages up. It comes from, obviously, government unions as well. More is always better in their minds. And then California, outside of the Valley and a few other spots, is a very poor state. This is going to have a devastating impact. You go to restaurants more and more now, it's going to be automated, where you punch it in, and you go to the counter and pick it up. So it's going to destroy jobs, but that's never stood in the way of people who think that they help by hurting.
Well, they think it's, they think it's the right thing to do, and they think it's the fair thing to do. I mean, you've heard that, the fair minimum wage.
They don't realize that the unfair thing about this economy is the lack of growth. And those with low incomes are just coming in the workforce are hurt the most. And what stands in the way? It's not a lack of a minimum wage. What stands in the way is a horrific tax code, an unstable dollar, health care regulations that are crushing small businesses with uncertainty and much else. And health care costs are still going up.
First. But, what about those who say it hasn't kept pace with inflation? I mean, it hasn't. Minimum wage has not kept pace with inflation. And you think back to, the last time they raised, for example, the federal minimum wage, it hasn't kept pace with inflation. Is there an argument to be made there?
No. Minimum wages, by definition, are job destroyers. If the federal minimum wage is $7.25. You find that if you want to raise people's wages, if you have a vibrant economy, that's the way you do it. For example, back in the late 1990s, almost seems like the Stone Age compared to what we are today. In my home state of New Jersey, then things were booming. I think the minimum wage then was about $5 and change on the federal level. You couldn't get in a fast food place anyone under $8 an hour. Markets work. Markets raise wages. That's how you get real wages up. We should have learned that from the 1930s.
Not government legislating it. Yeah, no, we should have learned that from the 1930s. There's a lot of things we should have learned from the 1930s. So apparently, we're still learning.
They're treating symptoms instead of the underlying causes and getting rid of those barriers to growth. And after all, in the 80s and 90s, wages all went up.
Good to have you here. Great. We'll be right back.